signed up, but I'm sure working with and hearing the voice of the people is important. And that is exactly what Mike has heard here tonight. And again, I'm going to be probably your first call on Monday morning, and this will be something that we're going to try to. I hear what you're saying. Yeah. And then, you know what? It should be that way. You've already spoken. Ellie.
Hi, Billy. I think, not to repeat what Jay had just said, but just trying to emphasize what that gentleman just talked about, to get like some type of a petition going. So I live over in Squantum, I'm not over in Marina Bay here. I wish I was sometimes, it's a beautiful spot to live. Well, I understand how you're upset about it. I think probably the best way to go after this thing is get yourself a petition going right away with a lot of signatures on it. And not only present it to the city council through your councilor, you know, Billy will do a great job to bring it up there, and Jay as well. But, and then try and get your overlay, but go to the owner of the building with all these signatures, you know, vis-a-vis the councilor. Say, hey, all the neighbors are upset with what's happened here. Now, he may not have done this intentionally. I'm sure they didn't. The owners of the building wouldn't have done it intentionally. But now when you have a whole bunch of signatures together and say, everybody's upset here, talk to your tenant and say, look, I know we told you can put in the sign, but we didn't think everybody would be mad, so change your sign. Because that's the fastest way. To wait for an overlay district or a change in an ordinance, I mean, yeah, you'll get it someday, but you're not going to get it for a long time. So mobilize, get some signatures, bring them to the councilor, let the council bring it to the owners and say, slap this guy in the head a little bit and say, smart enough.
Thank you, Alex. Yes, sir.
Again, I apologize, I was several minutes late. It's a citywide ordinance? Is that what we have? You know, unspoken, as we know, out in west and Wellesley Hills, they're much more restrictive. McDonald's can perhaps get in, but they can't have their golden arches, you know, whether they beg, you know, or not. But here, you're saying it's citywide, but irrespective of the fact that on one side of the street, it's purely residential, and over here, it's, I don't know, not crafty commercial, it's a very tasteful, I wouldn't even call it commercial, really. I don't know what the technical zoning term is for a nice building like
Commercial,
this.
PUD.
But it is a citywide thing, and I think I heard you say that they're in conformance with that citywide ordinance in terms of size and anything else, other issues. Right here.
And I don't think we'll see any golden arches up here, to be honest with you. But you're right on the money. With
Somebody said initially, somebody else could have an even bigger sign, you know. But liking that sign and saying, listen, my interest is craftly commercial, I want people to notice me. In fact, we had that issue here earlier.
Right.
Down here with the sign that was, well, I won't get into the details of it, but that was rectified in more than one regard. But, you know, that depends on individual people and the nice thought to put, you know, pressure on a business as an individual group of homeowners. But again, I think you already answered my question by not disagreeing with me. It's a citywide ordinance, and regardless of what's across the street, in this context, to this side of the street, that sign's perfectly legal.
But during the process, though, the council who's in there, and of course, we always get the information coming in. So they have to talk to you about 7-Eleven and Squantum, but Ally hit it right on the head too. You get together with your associations. But I know, again, thank you to Mike, who they're hearing this. They've heard everybody here tonight. And again, when the process comes up, as the new businesses come in, they're going to hear us again. I promise you that. It's in the next 6 months, while I'm here, they'll hear it. And they'll know it's not the right thing to do.
One of the things, location business like that is not like McDonald's.
Right.
Where you want to be seen to draw people in.
Right.
That's a destination. Somebody told them to go there, here's the address, that's
Right.
where you're going to get your care. I'm going to say gonna see it, they're gonna put up a sign facing the expressway, we're gonna have a problem. People who come here want to see the retail outlets.
Right.
They're gonna wanna stick their head in and shop there. They don't need a huge neon sign to draw them in. They'll be here, they're gonna be walking around, they're gonna be drawn in. You know, I'm gonna venture to say that's a franchise. And franchises, one set thing for the whole country. And that's what they said, here's the dimensions of the sign, build it, hang it on the wall.
Exactly.
Without any thought to the community.
And exactly, and because they know that it isn't gonna change their amount of people that are gonna go there, you know, so.
Not a bit.
Right, not a bit, so they, you know, again, unfortunately, it happened. Again, we're, you know, I think that the message has already been heard to the folks who manage the facility here. They know how upset, I mean, they know about this meeting.
Maybe you could approach them. I'll get $1 from everybody that lives here, we'll buy them a new sign.
Thank you, thanks. Any other, yes, please.
Just one thing. I agree with the gentleman, sorry.
Ally Shaughnessy.
Shaughnessy.
Okay, I'm sure I'll see the name on the ballot, but what, and pressure can be brought to bear by petition and all that. But the concern is not just that business, the concern is the future.
Yep.
And this overlay district, I just don't want to see that get dropped while
No.
people marshal their efforts to
Right.
maybe protest there, maybe go to the owners of the operators of Marina Bay, maybe go to the people at the apartment complex. I think that, pressure can be brought to bear on those things, but, we don't want to do that. We want good neighbors, and hopefully we've got good neighbors. But in the meantime, this overlay district, I think, is important, not just for signage, but for other things too. Because sometimes, there have been problems down here before when they had the beach club and all that kind of thing. So I would encourage you not to drop that, even if people marshal it up.
Why not? We won't drop it. Anybody else? As far as the signs situation? Okay. Again, I want to thank, from the mayor's office, Special Service, Shea Duca, for coming out tonight, kind of telling us how it is, and we will look at the, absolutely. I mean, this is, and we've been heard. There's no doubt we're being heard. There's no doubt that folks knew about this meeting here tonight, and it was about signage, and hopefully we can live it right in the sign, okay? And with that, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
Next up, does anybody need one of these? Please. I want to introduce from Woodard and Curran, who is, works with the city. We're going to talk about the Commander Shea Boulevard extension and everything that's going on, and with respect to that, and obviously it ties into the ferry, which I just got good news from Joe that $170,000 has been allocated. Of course, it's only a Band-Aid to get the pier repaired. That's what's the holdup right now with the ferry, because there was some big storms, and it took a beating. And again, it's been there for a while, and it wasn't used, and it wasn't upkept, and we all know all that scenario. But it's great that the funding is coming, and we can have that ferry, and I'll talk about that after Joe puts on the presentation about the Commander Shea Boulevard extension. Joe Shea.
Thank you very much, everyone. I'll do my best to be loud in such a large room. And I've brought some larger versions of what you have in front of you. However, they're not large enough for this room, so toward the end of the meeting, I'd be happy to stay off in a corner, set them up, so people can look at some larger versions of the drawing. We can start, the counselor started at the ferry end, so I guess that's where I'll start, and I'll give you the information down towards North Quincy MBTA station. So for 2 years, the city has been working very hard to try to get DCR to improve their current pier and to activate ferry service and other services from that pier. A number of organizations, like the Heritage Bay organization, PJ Foley's organization in the city, has done a wonderful job of helping coastal improvements, and PJ has been a great partner for the city in these efforts. Last year, the city was able to get from DCR $50,000 and from the city council $100,000 to do a pilot program where Winthrop came, allowed the city to use their boat for 2 or 4 trips a day and test ferry service. I understand that test was deemed to be successful, that ridership was high, and that momentum is growing to try to have another year of testing, working with Winthrop this coming season. Recently, we've been working with the delegation. The city's been working with PJ's organization. The city's been working with the various stakeholders. And DCR has verbally committed another $170,000 of improvements to that pier for another year of testing. So we hope what was successful in year 1 becomes more successful in year 2. But the end goal is actually long-term ferry service, long-term usage of that ferry pier, and significant improvements to that pier, which at times is just band-aided together. For those of you who go out there and walk, apparently the last storm shifted some of the floats and the gangplank broke. So in this $170,000 is some improvements to the gangplanks. In the $170,000 are improvements to the lighting out there, improvements to the floats, and improvements to the wind shelter that's out there. That announcement should be coming. As always, a commitment of funds from DCR unfortunately doesn't mean a big check that you can put in the bank. It's got to get processed through a contracting mechanism from the state, so we do not have the timing on when that money will arrive, but it was certainly good news. Moving away from the pier, across the parking lot. What this handout is a concept for the extension of Commander Shea Boulevard from Seaport Drive all the way to the entrance of Squantum Point Park, across a piece of land that's currently private. It's tough to see at the scale of the drawing, but the goal is to build a public roadway adjacent to the current Hall Road. And that will allow the people who own the Hall Road to decide what they want to do with it. We've shown it for a concept as parking spaces. But the ultimate goal is to have public access all the way from public roads in North Quincy down to the public park at Squantum Point Park. The end game is eventually a roadway directly all the way through. That certainly will allow people going to Squantum Point Park to not drive across your Marina Bay roadways anymore. Will certainly allow better access to a ferry service or other uses down at Squantum Point Park. And that part of this, that roadway will also allow for improvements at the private roadway between Edgewater Place condominiums and Sea Wing condominiums, which we know is a major bottleneck and is one of the components that's currently been designed by a different engineering firm, and I have their design with me to show you. Another success on top of the $170,000 is that the Massachusetts DOT has committed $2.1 million for the extension of that roadway. That's a wonderful accomplishment by the city, by the councilors, by the delegation, who worked very hard. The connection for that is that DOT has indicated that with the North Quincy MBTA station redevelopment and the Wollaston MBTA station coming offline, they would like to assist the city in extending this roadway so that potentially those 900 parking spaces could be used when parking spaces are offline for a year, or actually for 2 years in North Quincy and Wollaston. The drawing that you have was used to do a cost estimate to get the $2.1 million. That's not the final design. Now, the reason that's not the final design is there are a ton of stakeholders involved in this situation. You're a room full of the most important stakeholders here. These are your roads, this is your community. But the Heinz Corporation is also a stakeholder with their new development at the end of Victory. The Marina Bay Company that owns the boats and stores them on Hall Road, they're a stakeholder in this arrangement. The extension of the road requires a number of environmental permits. So the Conservation Commission and potentially some state agencies are stakeholders in this process. The current businesses along Commander Shea Boulevard are stakeholders in this process. And certainly the 2 condominiums I previously mentioned, who technically own to the middle of the unnamed roadway that connects to Quincy Shore Drive, are stakeholders. Then, as some of you may know, that there is a dizzying number of easements and rights and all sorts of other legal documents across all of these roads and across a number of different places. So it's very easy for us to draw a pretty picture and put trees on it. We're thrilled that it was a tool that was able to get the city $2.1 million commitment from the state to do something beneficial. And as soon as that money arrives and the city can contract, you should expect through your counselor a number of neighborhood meetings about what the right configuration is for that roadway. When you look at your drawing, what you will see is at the bottom of the drawing, just off the bottom of the drawing is the Seaport Drive intersection. I'm going to bet everybody is very familiar with. Then straight up the middle of the drawing would be the Commander Shea Boulevard roadway extension. Currently it's used, it's behind a fence, it's used as some parking spaces. But the roadway would continue and actually would have the opportunity to connect into a reconfigured Hall Road. So on your drawing you can see a bunch of boats, the white dots at the bottom. Right now the Hall Road curves around the sports complex and the new development. Potentially, the private owner of Hall Road may want to keep that in place, but they also have the opportunity to connect into the new public roadway, which is what we've proposed and shown. Then the Commander Shea Boulevard extension continues up the roadway between the 2 green tree-lined sides. And then once it gets to the DCR property, it bends. We're fairly confident at this point that that roadway will not be in wetlands. There'll be a small pocket, but because there's been a contractor's yard there for many years and they've stored and staged equipment there, we're comfortable that in your mind's eye, that's where the roadway will be, and we don't think that we will trigger many environmental jurisdiction, many environmental permits, if we keep the roadway tucked through where that contractor's yard currently is. Once we get onto DCR property on the roadway, we've already held a meeting with the Department of Conservation and Recreation. They're reviewing their jurisdiction as to what approvals we need from them to change their entryway so that it works much better. As an engineer, when I drive down that road, I like to describe it as clunky. You're driving, and if you want to go left into Squantum Point Park, you better be careful because there might be somebody coming at you and you don't realize it. We want to fix that. We've shown a very simple intersection with Victory Road for the purposes of pricing. However, as stakeholders, it's very important that that work for the owners of Victory Road, that works for the Heinz Corporation. That also must work engineering-wise. For example, Victory Road is up high. If you look at Victory Road and you look where the entrance to Squantum Point Park is, there's actually a little bus vestibule kind of in the middle of them. I've drawn a picture here that needs to be modified. That will be too steep of a slope. But the main point is that this is a concept that we want to use to solicit input from all of the stakeholders. It was a concept that we used to get some funds, and then we want to make sure we spend those funds as best as possible. The component that's not in the 2.1 million is we believe we can also get some additional parking for public parking, which is shown on here. However, we couldn't convince DOT to pay for parking, but we tried. And then again, the other parking spaces that we show on property currently owned by others, I assume that it's the Hines or Marina Bay Company. That was purely for display. It's their property within the rights of the easements that exist. We'd be happy to work with them, but it's their decision what to do. What's not shown on here now, if we continue down Commander Shea Boulevard, is we've done a report about what improvements need to be done between Seaport Drive and North Quincy. So this is the section past Brewster Ambulance. The roadway is in okay condition, but there's certainly room for improvement. ADA ramps, better guardrails, better drainage. So we've done a report and given the city a recommendation as to what we think the improvements should be or could be if the city were to take that road or be gifted that road. And then when we get to the intersection, when we get next to Edgewater Place and Seawinds, a different firm named VHB, a very strong transportation firm, has designed a turning lane, and this is terrible for people who are far away, so I apologize. Again, I'll go through this in detail, but the primary goal is if you're leaving Marina Bay on Commander Shea Boulevard, widening that road such that cars that need to take a left go between the condos and up onto Commander Shea Boulevard, don't block vehicles from staying to the right and trying to get around to North Quincy MBTA station. So that concept has been laid out and that is unfolding. So in parallel with the second year of pilot testing for the ferry service, the Hines development coming online, modifications to the unnamed roadway between the two condos, and improvements to Commander Shea Boulevard, we hope to be able to slip in a $2.1 million construction project to build a future public access roadway all the way along the side of Marina Bay, basically. Again, get that traffic that doesn't need to come across your roads off of your roads and improve the utility of Squantum Point Park, which I'm sure all of you know better than I know, is a wonderful jewel that many people don't know how to get there. They're shocked when they get there and they see the size of the park, even the size of the parking lot. Really want to be able to unlock that potential. So for $2.1 million, some private development improvement, $170,000 for another year of pilot testing. Those matters are all moving forward, connected to each other, somewhat in parallel. Did you add anything to that, Council?
I think you said it. I couldn't even match it. I can't thank Joe Shea Jr. Enough for coming out tonight. But we have a question.
The pilot program, is that with the Winthrop Ferry or the MBTA?
Well, that's right now. It's with the Winthrop.
It's horrible. The schedule didn't work.
Again, it's why they're still calling it a pilot. And I had a meeting with, and is Sean Castello here? Did he make it? I'm not going to take credit, by the way, for anything with the ferry. I'll take criticism, but I won't take credit. The state state people, Senator Keenan and Representative Ayers, they really, I came into this late, as you know, last spring. They have worked hard. They're the folks who've pressured and helped with the mayor to get us, again, another $170 million that needs to be done. I sat on Bay State lines, the boat was rocking like this, it was tied up to the pier. I'm not much, I was a boat person a long time ago, but I'm not, and I wish they were coming. Not that I'm knocking the Winthrop folks, but we do need a better schedule. The schedule didn't work last year, and I'm not convinced about the schedule I heard about. And I'm not gonna comment until I'm handed the schedule, here's the schedule. And then if I'm critical and there's criticism, I certainly make it, I'll voice that. But Winthrop right now is the people that we're talking to, that are talking to us. Should be the MBTA as far as I'm concerned. You know, they're closing Wallaston Station, and again, it should be an MBTA stop, running constantly, getting people into Boston, especially with the new development.
And it shouldn't be $8.
How are they gonna?
Sorry?
I said it shouldn't, it was $8 last year, one way, that's a lot of money for people to save.
It is, and again, it was it's a pilot program that, everybody heard about the same, what you're saying, the cost of parking from the DCR. It's something that, it's gotta be subsidized, and that's the point. When they see the traffic backed up that I'm in every morning, like a lot of us here, it's unacceptable. I've said that for 2 years. Anybody who heard me, it's unacceptable. For me to go to work, and just cut through Boston. Today, I had a dentist appointment, right? And I had to take the day off. I cannot believe I was in traffic at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm in traffic at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's ridiculous. I've had a disagreement with the mayor. When Wallaston closes, they're gonna give us one state trooper down at the merge. There should be the same 3 that were there. Traffic was better when they were rebuilding the bridge. And we had that state trooper who was at the no-name road, right by the cleaners, that didn't allow the people from Situate, Cohasset, coming over the Fall River Bridge, and then cutting over at the last minute. I see the same woman cut me off almost every day with the Nantasket, all the permits that she has on her van with her kids. And it's just, I don't think enough is being done. I've written letters to the governor about, and I haven't heard anything back. I don't think he knows who Bill Harris is yet, but about Wallaston closing, about the effect to Ward 6, about the effect of the fact that we need the money here, which we got the money, which is great. And I'm not going to take credit for the $170 million, but it's a good.
If I said 170 million, if he gets you 170 million.
I was thinking, is that Powerball tonight? I don't know. But I have some questions. Yes.
So my name's Eric, I live in Seawinds actually, so I'm affected by all of the increased traffic that's gonna go down that no-name road that we own. So I think this project, while I'm surrounded by a lot of Marina Bay residents, I'm sure it helps them, this is by far a detriment to our.
Speak up, please.
Can't hear you.
Sure, I'll stand up, how about that?
This is Eric. Eric, he lives at the Seawinds.
So I live at the Seawinds, so as I was saying, that this sounds like a great move for Marina Bay. It's gonna have a pretty big negative effect on that Seawinds, I forgot the other, Edgewater, no-name road there. So, looking at that design, I saw it from afar, adding that left-hand lane, while that's great for people cutting across from Marina Bay, that's gonna block us in. That's our main exit, that you're gonna put an additional blockade of cars waiting to turn left there. Between that and the proposed FedEx distribution center that we're still fighting, and I saw that you put on the map there, that left-hand only lane is gonna be a block of traffic every morning that's gonna block us from exiting. to me, if we have the right, we're gonna block that road off. I'm gonna push our,
Right.
I'm gonna push our
Yeah.
homeowners association to block that road off.
But if you heard what Joe had said, though, that's not a final, they haven't even gotten to the folks there yet, am I right?
Right, 'cause
So, I mean,
I guess we're lower on the pecking order.
no, it's not, but we're not, we're at a stage of, again, we started from the ferry all up to the no-name road.
Sure.
But in one way or another, there's a lot gonna take place. I'm sure there are ways and leverages that you folks can do to maybe mitigate some way that you folks are able to. One way or another, it has to still go through you folks, because you folks own the no-name road, am I right?
Right, and we own,
Right.
I don't know, again, you said there's a myriad of, I haven't got a clear answer yet, I've probably emailed 20 people in the town office to try to get an answer of what the easements are and what our rights are.
Right.
Because even if, so if, for this extension, so that's great, ferry traffic and normal residential traffic, I mean, that's not that bad, but, I mean, if we could limit commercial traffic, we'd shut FedEx off from going down there. Again, so, and I know this is, we're talking more about the ferry service, and again, that's good traffic, mass transit traffic. But, you spoke about, having a cop there, that's, to me, that's a Band-Aid. I don't understand why there's not a light there. There should have been a light there 20 years ago.
I talked about the police officer being there, I should have been more clear. It's during the construction time, it's being provided by the state. One cop over the bridge during the construction, the closing of Wollaston, and during the construction of
Right, but with this
Quincy.
extension, it's gonna drive more traffic.
Once it's done, yeah,
It's still gonna drive more traffic, and
Yeah.
people taking a right over the bridge. Everyone's going into Boston, that right-hand lane, dumps you back below. No one wants to go in that lane, they wanna cross over 2 lanes, so it just backs it up further. If there was a light there, it would, it would stop traffic and people could merge in a little faster. It would probably back it up toward the beach a little bit more, but it would smooth the flow of traffic.
well, anybody who's heard me, I want to put the signals that are just over the Fort River Bridge should be a 4-minute time limit, and right at the Fort River Bridge, because I'm telling you, a good substantial part of our problem, and you'll hear about speed limit changes and things like that, is those folks from the South Shore not going down 228, because they wouldn't put up with the crap, that we have to put up with, cutting through our roads. They think Hingham puts up with it so they could go to hit the expressway. That's why they go over the Fall River Bridge, they cut through our roads.
Right.
And
Well,
I'm sure they cut down the no-name
they cut down
road
the road
at one point.
And I agree, and the other, the root problem is the light at the Neponset Rotary is too short. I mean, there's, what are you gonna wait 30 lights to get over the bridge, where it's every other direction, even in the rush hours, only 1 or 2
And that's where
lights.
the police officer, they're putting 1, and it should be 3. Because there's three lanes of entrances. And that's, when we were having that bridge done over, again, that was the best time of my commuting, and I've been 20 years going up to the North Shore, to Woburn, and it was during the Big Dig, it was, even, it was better than the Big Dig, but when I tell you, I hear your concern, and I met with you
I've
folks.
donated, and we've spoken before, but
Yeah.
just on that plan, I mean, that's not gonna work. That's-
Again, that isn't in stone, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So
Yeah.
it's a different firm, a different designer, so I want to be careful, I can't speak.
Sure, and we'll fight.
And the flyers are not in stone either, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so this is just an idea of what's going on, because it was, right, it's a concept,
The concept that we use, we
Of
got
what-
2.1 million.
exactly. And again, when I was approached about this meeting here tonight, this was a concern, And I gotta tell you, I can't be happy when I saw Joe's face, because I could not have described it as Joe did tonight to you folks, as I could have. Of course, I'm not an engineer, but, okay, I'm gonna go right around that way.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Marcel from Squantum. I have a couple questions, and they might have more to do with the history of this road. Hines is building that, or built that building right down by the parking lot, correct?
Yes.
Was any money required of them? Because this road was not a pipe dream when they were building that building. Did they contribute any money, because they are gonna benefit from this?
This is not, this is.
I know the city guy left, but I'm
No, no,
just
and
curious,
again-
because it's appropriate.
Yeah.
This road was not part of our plan.
Pardon?
This all road extension was not part of our plan. When we bought the site and went through permitting, to complete the permitting, that wasn't anything that was,
No, the
I mean, we
city
never-
never asked
we
you
never
to
counted on it.
contribute, the city never asked
We
you
didn't
to
need it, we
contribute
didn't
towards
count.
that road. I get it, I get it.
what?
The city didn't ask you to contribute towards that road, right?
Right, we didn't even know the road was gonna be there, but yeah, I guess, yeah.
That road, the roads that are here, the city does not own.
Correct.
All the roads that you're on are
Correct.
owned by ME Access, which is all of us here, Mike McNally, chairman of that, and Green Point. Those are private roads that we own. We pay for the plowing, we pay for all the landscaping, and they had to come through us, and they pay into the upkeep of these roads. All of the butters here, all of the associations pay into this shuttle, all of the stuff that's around here, they pay into.
Why is the
They
city
pay-
plowing it?
Because our manager was able to make a deal to say, by the way, they never used to collect garbage here except for one place. Nobody in here got garbage collection. The rest of the city did. They said, well, it's a private road, so we shouldn't collect. We fought that, and finally, we got one collection a month. Our new manager, who's also on the board, was able to negotiate with the city, with Bill, with the rest of the council, and the mayor, to have plowing go through. Not all of it, it's not all paid for, but it helps out. Again, that's a private association, that's all of us together, working through one corporation. What we tried to do all along was we're very happy with what's happened with Hines. They pay into everything, they're right on time with everything. Everything's great, and in conjunction with them, and because of them, we're able to ask for this whole road extension. It'll be good for them, it'll be good for all of our people. The only thing I was going to say, jumping back to the ferry, at this particular time, when you've got 900 parking spaces being taken out of Wollaston and North Quincy, and you've got 900 spaces there, park the cars there and put the ferry in right away. Put a temporary pontoon like they did in World War II, and put them on there and bring them right into town. They come, they park, they go, and it's done. Then you won't have all the, all this.
It would help them sell their units.
It would help everybody over here, it would help everybody.
There you go.
But what I'm saying is, they are the impetus behind the whole thing.
Well,
Rental.
And they're the ones that are making money out of
We
it.
put it in, the ferry was, we didn't put it in because the ferry was.
Exactly. The ferry,
We know where the ferry was.
but it will help rent.
the ferry's been in
Not
works
everybody, right?
for 3 years, folks.
Correct.
Well before me. Well, you know,
Even longer than that.
yeah, and it was there before, but again, it's
30 years ago, when I moved in here with my wife, there was a ferry, which was subsidized by the O'Connells and by the state. It was a big, big ferry. It was the size that you see here. It went to Brothers Wharf and it went to Logan Airport, and it ran on time, all the time, better than it just couldn't keep subsidizing it. They couldn't afford it, the state said, go away with it. They closed one of our city, one of the places in the Quincy, one of the ferries, and now they're taking all these parking spaces. This would be the exact time to put the ferry in here. Eliminate, getting across the Quonset Bridge is impossible. I did it this morning. It took me an hour and a half to get from here to the express, to Mass Pike. An hour and a half from here. So it gets crazy. So from this point on, and the bridge configures into four lanes going to one, and then you got a rotary. It's just insane.
right.
But I mean, everything's converged upon this point now, and this is what we need, and we need it now. We can't say, let's do a study, let's do this. They can get a ferry up, they can get that bridge done in a couple of weeks if they want to, under emergency.
I'm gonna speak out, this camera on me, so I'm not gonna say what I could have said, because I'm not gonna get sued, because I don't have much to take. The ferry system, I think there was one point where they wanted us to take it over and buy it. We're gonna be in, the city of Quincy can't be in the ferry boat business. Absolutely not. That was bad. That's what, there's so many different parts that are being put together. But I will tell you that I believe that the MBTA should be running out here and it would be successful. And the cars that are cutting past me, from Hingham and sit, they have a grant of what was it, is it 7 million or 700,000? No, $7 million terminal that just gone, right? So, and as far as the brokerage, I went to the mayor and asked him, by the way, and I helped cut that deal when I was in Italy, talking to the manager.
I remember.
Yeah, and not only that, not only did we plow the streets, we also sent the street cleaners like they do everywhere else in Ward 6, something different. And we're looking to help anybody, any of the organizations that, trying to find spots to dump snow, save some money,
You also put a guy from Squantum in charge of watching out for us, which was free.
and who'd that be?
I'm not gonna.
So my original question, you have private interests benefiting from this road. They are not contributing anything towards this road?
Who's the private interest again?
Heinz,
FedEx.
FedEx.
Well, FedEx, again, remember, the property belongs to Boston Scientific, correct?
Okay, let's go back to Heinz.
A company called Scanal, but yeah.
No.
We shouldn't, it's done. Heinz is done, the
Right.
development plan's
Right.
been approved by the city. I think we're talking about the future.
Well, there's another proposed building in there too.
I don't think so.
No, it's already.
That's
Sorry,
an existing
sorry, yeah.
structure.
No. So
That's what.
Yeah.
Those units
yeah,
are built, will be rented, and whether or not they use the Hall Road, if they don't use the Hall Road, they will use these roads. Okay, so they don't really, it'll make it easier, sure. It'll make it easier for all of us over here as well. But they don't need this Hall Road. This is something that may come about because they're there, just to help get the thing going, get the people in and out. So it's not like, again, that's a totally private road that we have to get Boston Scientific and all those people to agree to go along with the state. There's nothing that guarantees, there's the money for it, but there's nothing that says that they have to go along with it. They might say, we want more money. So this is just gonna help everybody. It's not that we can't put a tax on something that's gonna be state roads.
Yeah, hi Steve Dunleavy, I agree with that too. Just to back up something Michael said and what Bill has been saying. The problem with the transportation here, and we're kind of talking to the wrong person because Bill can't solve it. He's talking about the MBTA. The proposal for the Hall Road was actually made almost 20 years ago, for the first time. I've been to at least 6 meetings on the Hall Road over the course of maybe 10 years. 2 years ago, we had our state people down here. They talked about the Hall Road, it was going to be done. It wasn't done. The legislature several times has announced the funding for the road. It's never actually happened, even though it's put in the budget, that the money has never been actually appropriated. So to talk to kind of Bill about this as our city councilor, he doesn't control the state money. He can make the application for it, but the people, our state senator, our state representative, they're the people who come down here time and time again and told us it was going to happen. The bill is, I think, also right when you talk about the T, the MBTA. They shut the shuttle that used to run out of Fort River, right? That was a pretty successful shuttle. I don't know how many people carried each day, but it was significant. The MBTA paid for that 100%, run by a private operator. They ended that service. That put those people back on the road. I would assume that most of the people who drove from the south into Fort River now continue driving through Quincy. So we added a lot of people thanks to the T ending that shuttle service. So when Mike talks about the T and what we need to do for a service here, yeah, if the T has ended the service, the shuttle service, which they did, I think about, 5 years ago? I think, down to Fort River, right? Because the pier wasn't any good, they didn't want to spend any money on it. But they spent money in Hingham, as you said, building a huge new parking garage, redoing all the piers, and is still fixing up some of the piers this year, finishing construction. They haven't spent money in Quincy, they're taking money away from us, or service away from us. So I think when you look at what needs to be done, is we have to get some pressure on, not Bill, but our state to say, hey, the T ended service in Quincy, right? You're now shutting the Walston station to do some needed repairs for a couple of years, which will make things a lot worse for everyone, right? So you're right, we need to somehow get the state to actually do what they said they're gonna do, first of all, year after year, by getting a ball rolling. But that doesn't solve the water transportation problem. The service that somebody just talked about, last year, they said was a great success, carried an average of 17 people per day. Now, the reason for that is, it didn't work. The time schedules, no one could take those time schedules and get anywhere. And then coming home by way of Winthrop isn't exactly the way people want to come here. So when they said it was a success, and I see people talk about, that was wonderful, they did this. I don't know, did anyone here take the service? All right, it wasn't pretty inconvenient.
But I took it every weekday, and that was, the times were not ideal, but there's no pizza on the Bonnet Bridge station.
Yeah.
So the concept is good, but it didn't work because the timing was, in the service, wasn't what people needed. Now, it's gonna take a lot of money to build a pier down there, do the types of things that are done, they're gonna tell you how much money it took. They spent the money in Hingham, they killed our service in Quincy already, right? So we need to, if we can get this many people interested in that, we need to get our state people here. Have Senator Keenan hear about it, hear Senator Diaz hear about it, that people can actually fund the state. They're the ones who vote the budget, not Bill, right? Not us directly. They've got the control over the money, and they've promised it, but they haven't got it.
Has anyone talked to Hingham about the model they used that was successful?
That's, again, that's.
I know in Hingham, the state spends a lot of money, and has for a long time, on their service. It's a very convenient, they have a high-speed ferry, they have backup ferries, they want it, and a lot of people use it.
Well, what's their formula? How do we?
Politics.
What's that? Who's in politics? Who's in politics? I gotta tell you though, I wanna stress Senator Keenan and Representative Ayers has been, we wouldn't have gotten to the point we were at last year if it wasn't for them. Yes, they've been pushing and they're pushing, and I know that Representative Ayers wanted to be here tonight, he just couldn't make it. And I know I can echo his sentiment that he is fighting for the money. And again, with the budget that this state is under right now, I was shocked about right, but what did I say, 170 million? No, about $170,000 that we got. It's amazing.
Wait, Bill, what was the actual estimate for fixing the pier so it meets requirements? So is it $2 million? What's the actual cost to make the pier ADA compliant so that it can get approved by the Army Corps of Engineers and everyone else?
I don't recall, but maybe in the 2 to 3 million range.
2 to 3 million. We got how much? 170,000. That's the cost
Band-Aid.
of doing
It's a
the
Band-Aid.
pier. So I'm saying this big announcement, we got 170,000. Yeah, so.
But it's to get the pier in working order, to get it going again, and hope that things more comes our way. I mean,
I'm not jumping at you.
no, it's okay. No, I mean, I have to tell you, I really don't agree with the fact that we put a Band-Aid on it last year, and it took one bad storm, but we had a couple of bad nor'easters. You see out in Swanham Bay, as you come into Swanham, the different piers that got blown off of, I don't know what we call them. I haven't been, but floats, because I've gotten phone calls about the floats. Will someone get rid of the floats that are an eyesore? So, that's tomorrow. But today, number one priority is to get the pier up and running, which was great news. I'll keep communicating with you folks all along. I mean, you know, this is I think this is, I was here about a few months ago. I'll continue to come out, continue to send messages out. I know you folks, I met with you folks too. It's a concern. I mean, I understand. If I told you, the folks from Wallison, the number of people from Wallison that are reaching out to me because they feel that nobody's pushing back to the state, and the fact that that station is being closed instead of partially doing it, causing us the problems that we're going to have. I hope the problems that we're saying we have are not as big as what we're thinking they are. But that's wishful thinking, and we can't go on that either. But with that, I'm going to kind of come to a couple last questions. Anything, yes, please?
Just to, again, on clarification, the timing of the ferry. So when do you think that turns on again?
Again,
I know that
I had no idea till this evening that there was even an estimate. So once money is finally given to us, correct? Once we get the money, I'm sure it's going to be fixed right away. I know Winthrop is fighting to get here, but they need to get us more trips, as far as I'm concerned, and more trips and more convenience. Because I heard, and I'm not trying to downplay anything, and my friend with the camera spears, he's over here. I got my back to him. I heard that there wasn't any evening.
Well, yeah, there's a 3 p.m. That's it.
3 p.m. That's what I heard. And again, I have not been getting I'm not going to criticize. I'm not going to criticize until I get it in my hand, and then I will be critical of that because it's useless for anybody who works downtown.
Are you sure it's going to even happen at all, regardless of the schedule? Do we know for sure the ferry's going to
Well,
start?
if the pier has to be fixed, then there'll be a ferry. There's no.
So there's no guarantee it's even going to happen this summer?
Summer?
Any kind of a
Well,
guarantee?
again, the fact that the money moved really fast, hearing that, I got an email before this meeting a few days ago, the update, and there was no 170,000, and now there is. So we're closer than I knew, than I was before I walked in the door here tonight, which is fantastic.
But it's May, and the summer is just around the corner.
I know that, I know. Again, I wish, if I had the answer, I wouldn't be here, I'd be running the third system. But, is there anybody else? Yes, Alec?
Billy, you know I couldn't leave without saying something.
Go for it, kid.
All right, a couple of things that I want, on the road, the DOT, and how nice they are, that they're gonna throw some money down here to put in a road, after so many years. Well, their motivation, of course, is the fact that they shut down Wallison, or they're going to.
Right.
At the same time, and I know you've been fighting the whole idea about the North Quincy development that's gonna happen. They've had 35 years to do it, and now all of a sudden, they wanna do it now, because the MBTA needs some money. They've had 35 years to do the ADA compliance at the Wallison station, but all of a sudden now, they wanna do it now. Not 10 years ago. Let's do it now. At the same time, they're gonna allow a developer to put in a new North Quincy development, which is gonna look beautiful for the city. It brings in more tax revenue. It's a great idea, but the timing stinks. Because at the same time, they're gonna shut down Wallison. And they should shut down Wallison and get it over with and fix it. Don't like, oh, let's just do it a little bit at a time. Just get it over with, but don't shut down half the parking lot at North Quincy at the same time you shut down the Wallison station. So the developer in North Quincy doesn't want to hear this, DJ, and he's a nice guy, but he should put it off about 2 years. And then try it in 2 years. Because what's going to happen on your new Hall Road, they're going to take all the people that can't park at North Quincy and let them drive down the Hall Road going this way, park your car, then get in a bus and go back that way. I'm not kidding you now. Go back that way, get off at North Quincy, get onto the train onto a platform station that doesn't have enough room anyhow, to stand next to all the other people that are now stuffed on there that came from Wallaston, because that one's closed, and then go across in a train that's like this. And then talk about, let's put in a ferry service for 25 years on a dock that's exposed to the northeast without any type of a breakwater. So you're putting a Band-Aid on a bullet hole. That's the reality of it. And until the state legislature, not Billy, not even the mayor, until the state legislature says to the MBTA, you guys over here are pissing $11 billion away on a new Greenleaf extension up top there. They shut it down, they open it up, they shut it down, they open it up, let's open it up to bidding. Do you know they're not gonna allow the guy that bid the job and won the job to bid it again? They won't let him bid it. Let's not do this. After they've got it all ready to go. They start it and stop it. These guys piss away money like they just got a printing machine right behind them. It's all our money. It's all our money. So when you go down here, this whole road, I know you're fighting it, I agree. Get it while you can, because they're giving you something that they're not gonna give to you just because they want to. They're giving it to you because it's gonna be a disaster for parking up here. So they gotta get them somewhere down there. So here you go, Quincy. Here's a little carrot. And then right as you get to it, they're gonna slaughter you with it. So grab the road while you can. Grab it. That's all. You know what's good about not being the city councilor? I can say whatever I want to say, whenever I want to say it.
Thank you for that.
Okay, really.
Folks, anybody else? I want to... None right now. No. They gotta go in front of the...
I don't care if that's TV.
I'm thinking $27 million So you're running, my friend?
Oh, yeah.
You definitely run. Is there anyone else who took papers out that's here right now?
Not that I know, no.
So, I mean, that's actually why I came tonight, because I'm like, hey, there's an event. If anyone's serious about running, they should have been here. Don't you think?